Let me ask you something. When you like someone, what's the first thing you do? You notice them more. You check your phone more. You wait longer for their reply. And suddenly, they're on your mind more than you are. But that's not the mistake. The real mistake comes after that. The biggest mistake people make when they catch feelings is they stop being real and they start acting. You change the way you speak. You hold back your thoughts. You hide the stuff you truly care about. You start trying to be the version of you that you think they'll like. And what happens? You laugh when something's not funny. You agree when you don't. You smile even when something hurts. And deep down, you know you're not being yourself. You're not just acting anymore. You're lying. Not by saying the wrong thing, but by saying nothing at all. By keeping quiet. By making yourself small. Just to feel safe. Just to feel wanted. At first, it doesn't feel like you're faking. It feels like control. It feels smart. Like you're playing it cool. But slowly, you lose sight of who you really are. Most people don't even know they're doing it. They think it's just part of dating. Be easy. Don't be too much. Don't rock the boat. But underneath all of that, fear. Fear of being too loud, too honest. Too different. Fear that the real you might be too much. So you act. You hold it in. You try to keep the peace by keeping quiet. But peace that costs your voice isn't peace at all. When you change to fit someone else, you lose something. You stop trusting your gut. You stop standing strong in who you are. And suddenly their opinion of you feels bigger than your own. You walk on eggshells. You stay quiet when things hurt. You stop asking for what you need because you're scared the truth will push them away. But here's the truth. If someone loses interest just because you're being honest, they were never really connected to you in the first place. And here's the part nobody tells you. When you hide parts of yourself to keep someone around, you don't just lose the connection. You start losing you. You feel tired after every conversation. You reread your messages 5 times before hitting send. You pretend things don't bother you, but deep down, they do. And slowly it stops feeling fun. It starts to feel like work. You're always the one texting first. You're always the one adjusting. You're always the one trying. It's not that you care too much. It's that you're working too hard to keep something that should feel natural. You've made their comfort more important than your truth. And that's not love. That's survival. You learn that love has to be earned. That people will only stay if you're quiet, if you're easy, if you don't ask for too much. So you start thinking, if I just stay calm, if I don't get upset, if I never complain, maybe they'll stay. But love that only exists when you hide parts of yourself, that's not love. That's approval. And approval disappears. The moment you stop performing, the scary part, you feel it, that little voice that says, if they saw the real me, would they still want me? That voice isn't drama, it's truth trying to speak. This pattern doesn't start in your 20s. It doesn't start in a dating app. It starts way earlier. Maybe you grew up thinking being liked meant being safe. Maybe you had to stay calm to keep the peace. Maybe your feelings made people uncomfortable, so you learned to keep them inside. You became easy, you became small. You learned how to take up less space, not because you wanted to, but because you thought it was the only way to stay loved, and now you carry that same habit into your adult relationships. But love isn't a place where you should have to survive. Love is the place where you're allowed to be seen. And that can't happen while you're still acting. So how do you stop? You start by noticing. Notice the moment you hold your breath before saying what's real. Notice when you fake a smile just to keep the peace. Notice the part of you that's more focused on being liked than being honest. Then ask yourself one question. Would I still act like this if I wasn't afraid of losing them? That one question brings you back to you. It cuts through the fear. It reminds you that your job isn't to be liked by everyone. Your job is to be yourself. Around the right people, when you stop acting, love starts to feel different. It doesn't feel like walking on eggshells. It doesn't feel like guessing what's safe to say. It doesn't feel like holding your breath. It feels like breathing again. You don't have to explain your silence. You don't have to rehearse your words. You don't have to shrink just to fit inside someone else's comfort. You can be messy. You can be honest. You can be you and still feel wanted. Because real love doesn't need you to perform, it meets you where you are. It holds space for your flaws, not just your filters. It doesn't punish you for being too much. It feels safe enough for you to be all of it. That's when everything shifts. When you realize you were never too much. You were just with someone who didn't know how to hold it. So now, you choose differently. You stop chasing love that asks you to disappear. You stop calling tension chemistry. You stop mistaking effort for connection. You wait for the kind of love that doesn't ask you to lie, not even a little. Because the right person won't love the version of you that you fake. They'll love the one you're brave enough to show.